Hey, what's up everybody? It's LeeLo, and today we're talking about the legendary greatness of chapter 1069 of One Piece. Stay steady in the pursuit of your dreams and goals. You're born to win, you're made for greatness, and I definitely believe in you guys. Keep up the great work each and every day. So this is the first LeeLos Adventure podcast on the channel. These podcasts are more designed for you guys to turn them on and play them in the background and listen to them as audio while you go about doing other things, and just let the audio make you happier while you go about doing other things in your day. That's the main point of them. And there's going to be chapters throughout the video. There's going to be at least 5 segments in the video talking about different things. So you can scroll through the segments and listen to your favorite parts. Thank you guys for tuning in. So this is the very first podcast. This is not replacing any of the other series on the channel. The Greatness of One Piece Explained is still ongoing, and all the LeeLos Adventure shorts are still ongoing. This is just a new series to the channel, so it'll be in addition to all the other things that are still going on the channel. So thank you guys for watching. And so this is episode 1. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is chapter 1069. How strong is Lucci now? And yes, okay, I am saying Lucci. Okay, so many people in the comments, dude, have been telling me like, dude, stop saying Lucy. It's not his name. You're saying it wrong. I'm sorry, bro. Like, ever since I was a little kid, I've always called him Lucy. All my family, like all my cousins and my brother and all this stuff, we all call him Lucy. There's no H, so why do... But anyways, it's Lucci, I guess. That's what everyone's telling me, so I'll say Lucci in this video. So yeah, how strong is Lucci now? Well, here's the first thing I just want to say. Lucci is absolute fodder compared to Luffy, and this is just the realistic fact, and I'll explain it to you why he is. So what we're seeing here right now, his most impressive feat that he has against Luffy in this chapter is he's able to clash with Gear 5 Luffy while Lucci is in his awakened form as well. Now here's the thing, dude. The main reason Oda did this is because he wanted to recreate their original clash from like chapter 400 and something. Like in their original fight back in Enies Lobby, they clashed in the exact same way in base form, but now like 16 real life years later, they're clashing like this in their awakened forms, and it's like a really beautiful thing Oda did. It shows how far Luffy's come in his journey, and it's really amazing. If you're a longtime fan of One Piece, this individual panel might have made you straight up cry because it's fire, and it's just like brings back nostalgia. Because I remember when I first saw that stuff, dude, I was probably like 8 or 9, and now I'm 25, and seeing this happen the same way again all these years later, it's just like some beautiful writing that really you don't see stuff like this happen often, because like you have to have a series be ongoing for so long and have an author as great as Oda is to like keep things fresh for this long. It's insane. So anyways, the main reason that they're both in Awakening is for the nostalgia factor of that moment, and Oda wanted to recreate that moment. Now another thing to keep in mind is Luffy hasn't used Advanced Conqueror's Haki even a single time in this fight so far, and he's still thrashing Lucci. Like Lucci's just a fodder character so far. Here's how you can prove it. Well, let me put it like this. A lot of people don't realize how big of an amp Advanced Conqueror's Haki is for Luffy. Advanced Conqueror's Haki is not the same power multiplier for every character. A good way, like, it just isn't the same multiplier. Like, depending on how strong your Conqueror's Haki is, you get a bigger increase from Advanced Conqueror's Haki. And only a very small number of characters can even use Advanced Conqueror's Haki. But, for example, what we've seen with Luffy, he gets a way bigger power increase from Advanced Conqueror's Haki than Zoro does, for example. A way bigger increase. Because Zoro, he was already around 1st Division Commander level, and with his Advanced Conqueror's Haki, he's still kind of in the range of 1st Division Commander level, maybe just a little bit above that. But with Luffy, dude, if he goes from 1st Division Commander level to straight up like relative to Yonko and like Admiral level instantly with his Advanced Conqueror's Haki, it's crazy. So something a lot of people don't know is Luffy's Advanced Conqueror's Haki is actually a bigger power multiplier than Gear 4 Bounce Man is. And this is proven in his Luffy versus Kaido fight on the rooftop. If you like analyze that fight really closely, here's how you can prove that. Luffy, when he first fights Kaido, he fights Kaido and Kaido's in base form, drunk, not even trying. And Luffy's going Gear 4, hitting him with his strongest attacks, and it does absolutely no damage. In the anime, they even go further and have Luffy use King Kong gun on Kaido, and it does absolutely nothing to him. It doesn't even hurt him. Okay, then Luffy on the rooftop, his base form does get a little bit stronger, but his biggest power increase comes from Advanced Conqueror's Haki. His Advanced Conqueror's Haki makes him so strong that in base form, he's matching the power and straight up clashing with Man Beast form Kaido, which is insane because Man Beast form is like relative to Gear Second when you're talking about multipliers. So it's like, imagine Kaido, this guy who was so strong he couldn't even feel King Kong gun, then goes Gear Second on top of that, and then he's doing attacks that are just disgusting, and Luffy's in his base form and he can match that power. So what that shows is like Advanced Conqueror's Haki is way bigger power increase than Gear 4 is, and then Luffy can stack Gear 4 on top of that. That's why Luffy went from First Division Commander level to being like top 10 in the entire verse, because it was like up until now, Luffy, the thing that was holding him back was that his base form, Gear 2nd and Gear 3rd, was just too weak to compete with like anyone above 3rd Division Commander level. When we first went into Whole Cake Island, it was like Gear 2nd, Gear 3rd, that just kind of like barely did anything against 3rd Division Commander level opponents and above, and he needed Gear 4 to fight any of them, and Gear 4 was such a big increase that he could like throttle Doflamingo, smack up Katakuri when Katakuri's focus was down, stuff like that. So his Gear 4 was strong enough to handle like top competitors, but his like Gear 2nd, Gear 3rd wasn't. But now his base form alone is significantly stronger than what his Gear 4 used to be, and like then he can stack all his gears on top of that. Also, something a lot of people don't talk about is Luffy unlocked the Rock series, which is him mastering Gear 2nd and Gear 3rd at the same time. This is the first time he's ever been able to do that without like dying. Back in Thriller Bark, he tried to do that and his body basically blew up, like he nearly died, and that's what made the Zoro taking Luffy's pain such a like impressive feat, because like he withstood all the pain that Luffy withstood with his mythical zone body that Luffy probably shouldn't have even survived. Zoro survived it somehow because he's built different. Anyways, that all being said, to summarize it, Luffy's straight up toying with Lucci. That's the simplest way to put it. Lucci hasn't landed a single bit of damage on Luffy yet in this entire fight. If you pay close attention, there's this scene where Lucci's like just throwing hands at Luffy, and Luffy literally falls asleep while he's dodging this guy, man. Like, he falls asleep in the middle of the attack, and Lucci still can't even land a blow on him while he's asleep. Dude, so it's like Luffy, and you could use that as evidence that Luffy's observation haki is so much stronger than Lucci, and he's so much faster than Lucci, that even while he's unconscious, Lucci can't touch him. The only time we saw that happen before, up until now, was when Ace tried to assassinate Whitebeard, and the gap in their power was so big that even when Whitebeard was sleeping, Whitebeard would just one-shot Ace and he'd just go flying. It's like that level of difference between Luffy and Lucci right now. And Lucci has gotten stronger, but it's just like Luffy has he has the fastest growth rate of any character in the series, and he's been on a grind. Not only that, he had a 2-year training arc with Rayleigh, and Lucci is like, there's no way he can match with that kind of stuff. And so how strong would Lucci be? Well, here's a good way you can scale Lucci. Is he's most likely the strongest member of CP0. He used to be the strongest member of CP9, and he got promoted to CP0 even after losing to Luffy, taking a massive L, losing Robin, and like getting Enies Lobby destroyed. That, like, a lot of the blame of that is on Lucci, because he was the head member of CP9 at the time, and he just completely failed. So he went from like the lowest of the low you could possibly be to now he's in CP0, which is like the highest organization they have outside of the Admirals. So what it looks like in the Marines for One Piece is that CP0 is below the Admirals, but above most of the Vice Admirals in terms of power. That's debatable. They're relative to each other, but from what we've seen, the CP0 members have way better feats than the Vice Admirals. Like, the CP0 members were scrapping with Kid and Apu, and they're both shown to be about 3rd division level commander opponents, and they were able to scrap with them, and it also makes sense because like Robin and Brook were afraid to fight CP0, and Robin and Brook are still below commanders in terms of power, so it adds up. It makes sense. So like a simple answer, like without all this scaling math stuff, the best way I could put it is Lucci is probably around a little stronger than Katakuri. But Luffy in base form right now, if he were to go back and fight Katakuri, he'd one-shot him. So that's what you need to understand. There's a very great probability that in this next chapter, Luffy's just going to turn around and just one-shot Lucci. It's very possible. And if he doesn't, then all that could really say is like, okay, well, Lucci has super high durability, but his power level and his ability to fight is still so much lower than Luffy's that it just doesn't even matter. Another really cool thing that happened is Lucci, he evolved his finger pistol into a hand pistol, which is really cool. Like, finger pistol was just, he uses his finger, like, just pokes holes in people. He did that in pre-time skip. Now he can do that with all the fingers on his hands at once, and he calls it the hand pistol. I thought that was super cool, and that was awesome. So that was pretty much everything I wanted to say for segment 1. So let's move on to segment 2. Segment 2, what do I think about Vegapunk's theory on devil fruits? So, so segment 2 is, what do I think about Vegapunk's theory on devil fruits? Here's my honest thoughts on it. I think it's some of the coolest thing, it's one of the coolest ideas Oda's ever written, because people have had all these different ideas for what devil fruits could be this entire series, and you know, it's just one of the special things Oda does in his series that not many other people do. He has literally had one of the main power sources of the series be a huge mystery for 25 years. That would be like if in Dragon Ball Z we saw Goku firing Ki Blast all this time and we didn't know how he was doing it really. We only knew like, oh, he's using energy, I guess, but we don't know like why he's able to do that. And that just wasn't explained until like right now. That's basically what Oda's done with devil fruits. We've known that they give people abilities, and then for some reason they can't swim in the sea afterwards, but we never knew why they weren't able to swim in the sea, and we never really knew why devil fruits would just do weird things. Like, why is it that if you eat 2 of them you die, and why is it that you can give devil fruits to inanimate objects and they come to life? It's like stuff like that was just a mystery and we didn't know, and this theory is like the beginning of us getting to understand this. Now, this is Vegapunk's theory, so it could turn out to be a little bit different than what he's saying, but the fact that Oda's having Vegapunk say this stuff is like pretty good indicator that, you know, it's probably true. Also, this is more evidence why Luffy doesn't need to go Gear 5. Like, Oda was using this as kind of like a plot convenience thing so that Vegapunk would have a reason to explain this devil fruit theory. So because if Luffy would just one-shot Lucci in base, just punched him once, and Lucci was dead, like he easily could do, Vegapunk would have no reason in story to give this explanation. So anyways, let me continue with my thoughts on it. Basically what he's saying is, he says that like I'm looking at this Viz translation right now, and what he's saying is that every devil fruit is a possibility for human evolution that someone desired. And then he goes on to explain it a little bit more, because that's a little confusing at first. He goes on and says, if only I could be like this, or if only I could be like that. All of those powers represent the many branches of the future of humanity, but the unnatural status is loathed by the sea, the mother of nature. A fitting punishment for this sin. Those with powers exist in different dimensions dreamed up by someone else before them. Okay, so what does that really mean? Basically what he's saying is all devil fruits are the physical manifestations of human imagination or human will, human desire. So it's like the desires of human beings, like, you know, people have all these wild things in their imagination, and kind of can think of like alternate universes type thing. Like, and it's like everyone's done this at least a little bit, where you just sit there, fantasize about having superpowers. Well, according to Vegapunk, these fantasies that people have end up manifesting into real devil fruits that people can eat, and they actually gain those abilities. But what ends up happening as a consequence is that it's such an unnatural thing. It doesn't make sense in nature that Mother Nature hates anyone who eats one of these fruits, and then the people who eat these fruits can no longer swim. So That's what he's saying, and it's really interesting. It's something that it also adds to the series, is that it kind of adds a nice balance to like what Gear 5's powers could be, because Oda, he has a habit of doing that. Whenever he introduces a power that seems absolutely overpowered, he finds a way to balance it out pretty quickly, or eventually. It's not always quick, but he usually balances it out in the long run. A good example would be Law. His devil fruit in the beginning, when I saw it, I just would think, how does he ever lose to anyone? Because he just has the ability to just manipulate anyone's body parts. Anyone he fights, he can just take their head off from a distance. And I would think like, well, how would he ever lose then, you know? But now in these recent chapters of One Piece, Oda added a balancing factor into it, where Law, he needs to have, like, if he's fighting an opponent and their haki is at a certain level, he cannot teleport them and he cannot manipulate their body with his fruit. So that was like a nice way to balance it out. So that was cool. So that's what he did with Law's fruit, and that's what he's doing with Gear 5 now. When Gear 5 came out, it had like such a polarizing effect on the community, because it was introduced beautifully and it was like extremely shocking. No one saw that coming at all. It was just like the most shocking, stunning, like, to have the main character's power be something completely different than what we thought it was after 1,000+ chapters, 25 years of reading it. That was, I've never seen an author do that. That would be like 25 years into Dragon Ball Z. It turns out, hey, you know what? Goku's actually a piece of chocolate, and this whole time he's been a chocolate bar fighting the war, like just something completely left field from what you were originally told, you know? And that's what Oda did with Gear 5, and it was insane. And like the thing that got a lot of people uncomfortable was it said that he can do anything he can imagine. It made me really uncomfortable, because I was like, yo, wait, does that mean Luffy's going to be able to just beat everyone he fights? Can he just teleport? Can he do Kamehamehas? Well, what we saw in the Luffy, so this will be a new segment. This is going to be like the limits of Gear 5. What we saw in Luffy versus Kaido, it was that Luffy, and all throughout the series, is Luffy's power actually has a lot of limitations on it. Here's the simplest way I can put it. It does not make him any stronger than he's already trained himself to be, because if it just, for example, I saw people saying, well, it makes Luffy do whatever he imagines, and he just needs to imagine he's stronger than his opponent and he'll win. That's not true, because literally every fight Luffy goes into, he expects to win, and he's lost like a dozen times throughout the series. Like, if you look at his first fight with Kaido, he went in there expecting to clock this man and just KO him. And he told Law, yo, if I just beat him right now, we don't have to worry about anything. I'll just take him out right now. Luffy did 0 damage. Okay, he did his strongest attacks and did 0 damage. So even though he was imagining himself to be stronger than Kaido, it didn't do jack. Another thing is it doesn't negate devil fruit abilities. In the early pre-time skip, he didn't even know what Logia fruits were, but he fought Crocodile and he couldn't do any damage. He imagined he would be able to hurt Crocodile, didn't do squat. So it doesn't like negate other people's powers. It doesn't make Luffy omnipotent, omnipresent, all this. It doesn't do that. Really, all we've seen Gear 5 do is it lets him use rubber and turn pretty much anything else into rubber. And then the one thing that doesn't fit in there is how he could turn people's eyeballs into that cartoon effect. That's the one thing we don't know why his fruit was able to do that, but it more just kind of seems like his fruit is meant to make people laugh, so it can do silly things that defy the laws of physics sometimes, but it's normally just funny things. It's not like him creating spirit bombs and stuff. So, and everything else we saw in Luffy versus Kaido, he was still getting clobbered in Gear 5, let's be really honest. And it's like, so it doesn't like make him stronger than he's trained himself to be. It doesn't give him Dragon Ball Z powers. We saw him run on the air, but a good explanation to that is he just turned the air into rubber. So it really looks like the main thing he's doing is he can turn other things into rubber. And then Kaido even has a line in there where he says his awakening seems more like a mythical zone type awakening, meaning other characters in the verse who are mythical zone fruits have awakenings that do similar things to what Luffy's fruit is doing. So you need to keep in mind, it's like Luffy's, and then people will still agree with you that there's still characters that can beat Luffy. Like Roger had to be stronger, Prime Garp had to be stronger, Prime Sengoku had to be stronger, And Kaido is still stronger than Luffy. Luffy won because Kaido fought like 10 top tier opponents in back to back with no rest. Luffy got power up after power up after power up and then rested in between, like each fight, got regenerated and stuff. It was full power Luffy versus like 20% HP Kaido, and it still took everything Luffy had, and at the end of the fight he just passed out from exhaustion. So it's like Luffy's still a lot weaker than Kaido. People don't realize that, but it is what it is. And then Blackbeard should be able to fold Luffy up narratively, but you know, we got to see how that goes. Anyways, I love Vegapunk. So kind of cycling back to what I was saying before, I love Vegapunk's explanation on devil fruits. It's super Oda-like, super unexpected, and it was awesome. So next segment is... So that was everything I wanted to put in that segment. Next segment is, what do I think could happen in the next chapter? Next chapter, I think Luffy's going to one-shot Lucci or just hit him one time with an attack that just messes him up so bad. Lucci's like, yo, bro, we gotta leave. Like, that's what I think will happen. Okay, and yeah, so that was everything I wanted to talk about for One Piece. Now, the next segment I'm going to be talking about is going to be about jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu. I'm someone who practices jiu-jitsu. I'm still a white belt, but I have a passion for it. I love it, and it like just helps me develop as a young man in my mind, and just makes me a stronger guy. I love everything about jiu-jitsu, really. So now we're going to be talking about Gordon Ryan versus Nicky Rodriguez. And most of you guys don't know, but this channel originally started out with me wanting to just talk about like MMA. And well, it was my first video was a One Piece video, but I wanted to talk about MMA and boxing and stuff. And now we're mainly focused on One Piece, but these LeeLos Adventure podcasts, I like them because they give me the opportunity to talk about MMA, jiu-jitsu, stuff like that again. And it still gives people who just love the One Piece content, the One Piece stuff they love, and they can just, you know, skip this jiu-jitsu stuff. Or if they're interested in learning a little bit about the martial arts, they can tap into that too. Because really, the reason why I like jiu-jitsu is it's pretty much like a physical manifestation of anime itself. If you watch any sports anime, dude, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Here's the best way I can put it. Read Hajime no Ippo from chapter 1 to chapter 100 and then go do a jiu-jitsu practice. It'll all make sense, okay? Because you start noticing like how those characters can get so deeply obsessed with a martial art that it's like their whole life to them. And they're talking about tournaments, they're talking about upcoming fights, they're talking about people who are doing well, their rivals, and it just creates like an entire shonen aspect in their actual real life. You join jiu-jitsu and you start competing, you'll feel the exact same thing. So yeah, that's something I love about jiu-jitsu. But anyways, I guess that could be a segment all on its own. This segment, let's talk about Gordon Ryan versus Nicky Rodriguez. So this was a jiu-jitsu fight that just happened. And yeah, a lot of people don't like calling jiu-jitsu fights. The people who say that are either, they have a complete right to say that because they're a fighter themselves, like they're doing boxing or UFC or MMA. And most of those fights, the big thing that separates that from jiu-jitsu is you can get brain damage in those. This is the biggest difference. Versus in jiu-jitsu, there's like zero brain damage throughout the entire industry, or it's like such a small number. It would have to be like a freak accident to get brain damage in jiu-jitsu. That's what separates it from striking fights. But the reality is, if you're in a jiu-jitsu match yourself, you're not playing, dude. You're going in with a fight mentality and using fight energy to win. And it's like, if you've never done a jiu-jitsu match, you wouldn't know that, but if you just do one yourself, you realize, yeah, it's fight energy. It's just fighting with no punches and kicks. Same thing with wrestling. Wrestling is also a fight with no punches and kicks, but jiu-jitsu is more fight-like than wrestling because in jiu-jitsu, you put people in moves that could kill them, versus in wrestling, you just kind of impose your will on somebody and put them on their back and you win. In jiu-jitsu, you win by strangling a person out. They could pass out or die, or by like breaking like putting them in a position where their arm or leg or some bone's gonna break or snap if they don't tap. So it's like those are fight type things. And also UFC has an entire jiu-jitsu element in it. And then the other thing is like the Rickson Gracie family has proven jiu-jitsu is the most superior martial art if you're just choosing one to learn. But one thing you guys got to keep in mind is there's a big difference between sports jiu-jitsu and martial arts jiu-jitsu. Sports jiu-jitsu is just designed for two people are doing jiu-jitsu against one another, so there's no punches or kicks coming your way. And then martial arts jiu-jitsu is strike-based jiu-jitsu, meaning it's teaching you how to do how to do jiu-jitsu against someone who's trying to punch you, kick you, and kill you in a street fight, and you use jiu-jitsu to stay alive and to submit them, and they can be bigger than you and you can still win. But a big problem in jiu-jitsu today is that a lot of people only learn sports jiu-jitsu and think they know how to protect themselves. I'll just tell you the truth, you don't. If you try and fight a boxer and all you know is sports jiu-jitsu, you're probably gonna get knocked out. But if you learn strike-based jiu-jitsu, like a solid Gracie-based jiu-jitsu, or someone who's learned from a Gracie, and they're teaching you how to counter against someone who's trying to punch you in the face, teaching you how to close distance, teaching you how to clinch and how to bring someone to the ground if they're bigger than you, and how to do so without getting hit, then you can beat most boxers. That's how jiu-jitsu works, and that's why it's very powerful. You can beat like any other martial art, and there's a lot of science done on it. Don't believe anyone who tries to tell you like kickboxing or boxing is superior to jiu-jitsu. It's not. There's been so much science done on it that it's not a debate anymore. The only people who debate it are the people who are not educated on it. The truth is, just search Rickson Gracie. He fought 400 Vale Tudo fights with just jiu-jitsu. He fought street fighters, he fought kickboxers, he fought boxers, he fought wrestlers. He fought every style and won every single fight using just martial art jiu-jitsu. No other martial art has ever been able to pull that off. And then they went into UFC and proved it again. That's why today every single UFC fighter knows jiu-jitsu. If you try and go in jiu-jitsu with no grappling, you're just gonna die, bro. You're gonna lose instantly. And another great example of why jiu-jitsu is superior, look up Rodtang versus Demetrius Johnson, or Rodtang versus Mighty Mouse. It's on YouTube, and it just shows you point blank the best, simplest way how jiu-jitsu is supreme. Because you have Rodtang, a world champion kickboxer who could smoke any kickboxer I've ever met in my life. This guy's a world champion with over 300 fights. He's born to fight. He has like a Khabib type mentality where it's like this guy will just kill anybody. He's that kind of fighter. He's insane. And you look at his kickboxing fights, he's so perfect of a fighter. You would just think, okay, if jiu-jitsu really isn't supreme, anyone who fights this kickboxer using just jiu-jitsu is going to get rolled. And you see the fight. They have it in 2 rounds. The first round, here's going to be some spoilers on the fight, but maybe pause this video, go watch it, come back, and I'll explain it. You can view this as like the explanation of that video. But here's the truth, dude. Rodtang, he fought Demetrius Johnson, who is one of the best fighters of all time. He fought him using just kickboxing rules in round 1, and they were pretty even, with Rodtang having a slight advantage. Then the next round was UFC rules. The only thing that means is that Demetrius Johnson can now use his jiu-jitsu. As soon as the fight starts, the whole element changed. Rodtang was trying to use his kickboxing, couldn't use it as effectively. Demetrius Johnson comes in, brings him to the ground, and chokes him out. And that's how these things go. So don't listen to any BS people tell you that jiu-jitsu is not on top. It is, dude. They're either just not learning a martial art-based jiu-jitsu and they're just learning sport jiu-jitsu, or they're just not really thinking when they speak, or they're not educated on the subject. But real people who actually practice martial arts, like myself, we all know the truth. And like, quite frankly, it gets super annoying when like we hear people say, like, just run their mouth about dumb stuff. But another thing is this: there are some people that you just straight up never want to fight, even if you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Great example would be someone like Prime Mike Tyson. He is the absolute definition of a freak of nature. You look at him at 12 years old, that man could knock out like 30-year-old seasoned champions and could just like kill them in the boxing ring. He was born like 27 years old in his prime. Like, he's like too strong. He's so strong that it's like, even if you're great at jiu-jitsu and you're fighting like an enraged Mike Tyson age 25, bro, that's probably the scariest thing ever. Because it's like, who knows if you can even take him down, you know? It's like, even if he has no wrestling background, if you try to do a double leg on Mike Tyson, honestly, that man's so strong and so like instinctual as a fighter, he might just instinctually like just wrap you around and suplex you right into the dirt and just really mess you up. Like, so there's certain people you just don't want to fight because they're freaks of nature, but against most people, and especially against untrained people, that's where jiu-jitsu shines. And it's the supreme martial art. Do not take any BS from anyone else. And Sambo, I think, is pretty much the same thing as jiu-jitsu. I'm not super educated on Sambo. It seems like jiu-jitsu without leg locks, but I think some of them do leg locks, so I don't know. Someone educate me on Sambo in the comments. Tell me the difference. Anyways, okay, now let's actually talk about Gordon versus Nicky Rod. I kept going on segments because jiu-jitsu is a huge passion of mine. I love martial arts. It's something I love. So anyways, this next segment is Gordon Ryan versus Nicky Rodriguez. Why is this a big deal? Well, it's pushing jiu-jitsu to levels I never thought it would reach. Real talk, because they had these jiu-jitsu fights. They had these jiu-jitsu fights on UFC Fight Pass, which is huge. Because One Championships, which is another fighting organization, has been having grappling matches on their program, and that's nice. But One is not as big as UFC yet, and yeah, One is not as big as UFC yet. That's just the simple fact of the matter. It does not get as many views, but it is very popular. And UFC was noticing, okay, that's working for them. Let's try it out with us too. And they threw the biggest names in jiu-jitsu in there. They had Gordon Ryan, they had Nicky Rodriguez, and they had them like as the headliner. And that was a genius promoting move. I'll be honest, the ref did not do a good job. At the end of the match, he just left Gordon Ryan in a choke for like 4 seconds after the break. You need to understand, Nicky Rodriguez is a giant beast of a man. He's like 6'2", 260 pounds, like no fat whatsoever, just pure muscle. And he was in there doing a nasty choke that could, like, the average man would have their jaw broken by that joint. And the ref just left Gordon Ryan in there for 4 seconds after the bell. I really didn't like that. I was like, dude, come on, man. You can't do that. You're like putting him in danger doing that. Because he was like, I saw someone leave a comment saying the ref turned into a fan instead of being a ref. And that's the truth. Like he was so shocked to see Gordon be in a choke. He was like, whoa, no way. What? Instead of doing his job, bro. So that was one thing. But the other thing is, like, the match was incredible and it proved me mega wrong. Because for one, I never thought jiu-jitsu would reach this level where it'd be on UFC. That was me being a complete hater. I never thought it would reach that level. I was proven blatantly wrong. And then another thing is, I've been a hater on Gordon Ryan for a while, dude. And I just got to be honest, because if I'm wrong, man, if I'm wrong about something, I'm not perfect. But in a situation like this where I clearly see I was wrong on something, I need to step up and admit it, dude. I was a hater on Gordon Ryan for a while because I thought he was just like a bully. I thought he was I really thought he was like a bully to people, kind of a jerk. And I really thought he was just like not using his jiu-jitsu skill to the maximum ability to push the sport forward. Because I always looked at Gordon Ryan like he is so much better than everyone else that it just like is disgusting. He will literally low diff the highest, like the number 2 guy, he low diffs him. That's how good he is, bro. So I was always wondering, why isn't he doing like UFC stuff? Like, why doesn't he just go and grapple Khabib and like submit Khabib in like 30 seconds and shock the world and get 1 million views on YouTube? Why doesn't he go and submit GSP and get a 1 million views? But he has actually done that. He does grapple with GSP on YouTube. And if you look, I'm pretty sure all those videos get like 500,000 views, man. But I was just always frustrated, feeling like he wasn't doing everything he could. But seeing him take it to UFC Fight Pass, that would not have happened without Gordon Ryan. We got to be honest, dude. No one else has pushed jiu-jitsu this far in our modern era other than Gordon. So, I mean, it was amazing to see it on UFC. And I got to apologize to Gordon, dude. You proved me wrong, man. I did not expect you to push it to this level, and you did it. And I can tell this is just like the beginning of the next step for jiu-jitsu. And it really does look like jiu-jitsu is going to become a sport where people can do it after college, like as an alternative to doing wrestling in college. They can do jiu-jitsu in college and actually make money. It looks like that's where the future is going, especially since UFC is like feeding jiu-jitsu as well. Anyways, yeah, I thought it was amazing. It's pushing it forward. It got a lot of more. I don't know if more eyes got onto jiu-jitsu because of that, but just the very fact that jiu-jitsu is something that was on UFC now, and you can say that as a grappler, like, dude, you ever watch jiu-jitsu? And they're like, no, I don't really watch it. Well, bro, it's on UFC too. Really? Yeah. Sometimes they just have straight jiu-jitsu matches. They're good, bro. You can see how good people can get at grappling if that's all they focus on, and that's a selling point. You can say, dude, the top guys in jiu-jitsu and just pure jiu-jitsu are like way better than Khabib at grappling. I feel like, what? No way. Yeah, they are. Watch it. You'll see. And so that kind of stuff can get people to watch it. So I thought it was amazing, and I think it's pushing jiu-jitsu forward. And I saw Chael Sonnen posted a video on it. I haven't watched it yet, but I saw his title on the video was something like Gordon versus Nicky was not even close. And you know, there's another YouTuber, Broken Ronin. He's someone who he's grinding on YouTube. He's doing really good. And from what I've seen, most of his channel is Jujutsu Kaisen stuff at the moment, with some Chainsaw Man as well. And then I believe he also has Blue Lock on there too. But his channel is really good. And he has a series on his channel where he does power scaling, and he says like he'll say something like, I don't know, like Yuji versus Makima, or Yuji versus Toto is not even close. I don't know if that's an actual video, but that's like the not even close is like a series on his channel that's really well done. You should check it out. He's really good. If you check out his videos, leave a comment in his video saying, hey, LeeLos Adventure sent me here, dude. You should do that. So I could, like, if I see your video, see one of his videos, see that comment, it'll make me feel good. Make me feel even more good. Okay, but anyways, yeah, I saw Chael. He left his video was called that Gordon versus Nicky is not even close, and I thought that was awesome. I'm like, dude, did he get that from Broken Ronin? Maybe, who knows? Maybe not. Who knows? But I just thought it was cool to see that. And now number 5, originally I only had 5 topics, but as the podcast went on, I think I've had like 8 topics. I'm gonna have to listen to the podcast and figure that out. But this next topic that I want to use to finish up the podcast today is just any new thoughts I've been having on my success journey. So what do I mean by that? Well, the truth is this, dude. If you're building a YouTube, a lot of people don't like to admit this for whatever reason, but you're an entrepreneur. If you're building a YouTube channel, you straight up are an entrepreneur. You're doing entrepreneur things. You are working in the nighttime to build an empire for yourself. And in the daytime, you're doing either a job or school or both so that you have money to fund into your YouTube and all that kind of stuff. It's an entrepreneurship journey. So I'm calling this my success journey because it's like, as my YouTube channel grows more and more, I learn more about myself, and I learn more about like human nature that I wouldn't have learned if I didn't choose to like pursue my dreams in this way. So I mean, there's a lot of things in my mind that I can't talk about yet at the moment, but in the next like month or so I'll be able to. But it's just like right now I have to be like respectful to everyone that's in my circle, everyone that I love. I don't know how to word that, so I'll probably just delete that from the podcast. But here's the thing I want to say. In my success journey so far, what I've noticed, dude, is you really have to protect your brain and treat it like you would treat like a child that you're nurturing to grow into a strong, successful man, but you have to do, or woman, but you have to do that for yourself. And the reality is, something I've noticed is this, like, I'll just say this on the podcast. This is my platform, my podcast. I'll say what I want. I built Amway for 4 years, dude. And Amway is literally, I'm going to make a whole podcast talking about that, because MLM, Amway, all that stuff, it has such a negative stigma, and in a lot of cases it's well earned, the negative stigma, but it didn't start out as a bad thing, I don't think. But my experience with Amway overall was actually a negative thing. I ended up getting taken advantage of by some mentors who just really didn't care about anybody. They just wanted to rip people off, take all their money. They stole business from me and stuff. They were not good people. They're pretty, I'd say maybe even evil people is who they were. And their whole thing was just to lie to people and take their money. And that's all they were trying to do. I don't think everyone in Amway's like that, but the people I met were like that. They were just scumbags. Real truth, they were just not good people at all. Anyways, I learned a lot from that, and I built business from that. I made money from that and learned a lot about business from that. Learned what I liked, learned what I didn't like, and I realized YouTube's just a way better platform overall than Amway ever could be at the moment. Really, it just is. And or it's a way better platform than Amway is at the moment, because Amway lost a lot of its like passion and love, and YouTube's just growing more and more. So that's some of the things I've noticed, but I'll save more of that for another podcast in the future. But anyways, it's like, yeah, YouTube is an entrepreneurship journey, and you need to understand that. And what I've been realizing is, like, you have to be careful who you listen to, because there's a lot of business gurus on YouTube who like just say whatever, and they don't really care how it will affect people, and that's not okay. I'll say this right here, dude. I saw a tweet from Andrew Tate. I don't know if this was really Andrew Tate or not. My little cousin sent me this, and he was saying like, don't read books. Reading books is for losers. I was like, what the heck is it? So that's someone who doesn't care about people, bro. That's the simplest way to put it, because you need to understand, Andrew Tate has like millions of children who watch his videos. For him to say, don't read books, education's a scam, it makes you a loser, for him to say that, he could be delaying or even destroying the dreams of millions of children. Like, you need to think about it like this, dude. There's so many kids who read that tweet who in their mind, they want to become doctors. And maybe they could have been the best doctor to have ever lived. Maybe they could cure cancer, do all these incredible things, but they read that Andrew Tate post and think, oh, education's a scam, I don't need to be a doctor. And then this beautiful potential that was within them does not get used because they were led astray by someone who does not have their best interest at heart. And then the other thing, you got to look at Andrew Tate with a grain of salt, bro. And by a grain, I mean like a gallon of salt. This man says education's a scam, but he sells an education business. If that's not a huge red flag, I don't know what is, bro. This man straight up says education's a scam, and then himself sells an education business, and people pay him money for it all the time. And then he says school's a scam, but once again, he has something called Hustlers University, which is a school, and he's saying, okay, other schools are a scam. Like if you say you're someone who just loves programming, like me, I love programming, and I love learning about it, and it's a joy to learn about it. And he's telling me, okay, well, it's a scam for me to learn about something I love, but it's not a scam for me to give you my money for you to tell me stuff I could just look up on the internet and read books about myself. It doesn't make any sense. He contradicts himself a lot. And it's like, if you have a good self-image, a good head on your shoulders, and you're already an entrepreneur and already working hard, it's pretty easy to look at him and say, okay, about 80% of what he says is garbage, that it looks like he's just trying to say to get more views. And about 10 or 20% of it is actually good. Like the stuff Andrew Tate says about being a man, how you got to level up and be a strong man. I respect that, because that's true. Like as a man, like, dude, you do have to work hard. You do have to grind. You do have to set goals and achieve them. But the idea of like what he said just made no conscious sense. And he honestly might have been drunk as he posted that, because he in his interviews will literally quote like the Bible, which I don't know if he realizes, but that's a book. Okay. So he clearly reads books. And then the other thing is like, you have to think, imagine if in this world, if we had no books, no reading at all. If everyone took his tweet literally and no one read anything, we would be just as dumb as like the first humans to have ever walked on the earth, because none of the previous information would have been passed down to us. We would know absolutely nothing about history. And probably all the previous bad things in history, it would be more likely to repeat because we would know nothing of our previous mistakes. We would know, like, medicine would be non-existent. We wouldn't know how to create any of it because none of the methods and the learnings would have been passed down. These computers, these businesses we're building, we couldn't even make them. Like, we wouldn't even know how to make computers. You saw how big the first computers were? They used to fill up a room. Now you have phones in your pocket that have more power than like computers from back then. And we wouldn't have phones. We wouldn't have this. He wouldn't have his businesses. He'd be broke. Okay. And what you need to understand is, like, if someone's willing to just like hurt so many people just to make money, that's not someone I'm willing to listen to at all. He's not qualified to give me advice. That's my stance on Andrew Tate. He is not qualified to give me advice. But I do promise you this: if I ever meet that guy in real life, he'll take one look in my eyes and say, that's a winner. Because winners can recognize winners. Like, he'll take one look in my eyes and say, dude, this guy's a grinder. This guy's a champion. Because I work hard and I got big dreams and I'm working hard towards them and I live my life as a dreamer. And one look in my eyes, he'd be able to tell me that. And honestly, I feel like if I talk to him, I have no idea what would come out of his mouth. And I'm not that interested in it. Because, like, if you're going to send a message like that to children, you've instantly lost all my respect. And because I used to like him a little bit, but when I saw that message, I don't know if it's real. If it's real, he's lost all my respect, but I just really don't care enough to like waste time looking into that, dude. So that's how that is. But yeah, you got to be careful with who you listen to. And what I've learned, like me and my friends, I have a couple of friends who are entrepreneurs as well, and we talk about this. We just learn from the masters what they're masters at. I don't want to take holistic life advice from everybody on everything. It's like, for example, David Goggins, he's an excellent man in terms of like building your mental strength, but I'm not going to take relationship advice from him. I'm not going to take advice on like how to recover and rest from him, because it seems like he has very little knowledge on that. Another example, even though he's excellent at other things, there's some things he's not good at, and I'm not going to take advice from the things he's not good at. Another example would be and another thing is just looking out for inconsistencies. Like, for example, if I'm listening to someone and they're a multimillionaire and they're giving me advice talking about discipline, but they are, and this is not a nice word to say, but I'm just going to be honest, if they are fat, that's a red flag, because you're telling me all these things about discipline, but you're clearly showing that you're not disciplined with yourself. So it's like things like that, you have to use them with a grain of salt. So for me right now, like my inspirations, the people I look up to right now for different things are Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey, And then there's YouTubers as well, like SML, one of the greatest channels that's ever been created on YouTube, and Corey X Kenshin. Those are all people that they've achieved success in different areas, and I respect the success they've achieved, and I like study those aspects. Like, for example, Jim Rohn, I study like his mindset and how he overcame challenges. I do the same thing with Brian Tracy, and with Brian Tracy, he speaks in such a way where it sounds like he has a lot of peace of mind. So I like studying the things he talks about when it comes to peace of mind and just holistic happiness, stuff like that. I also like John Asseroff. There's a lot of things. Oprah Winfrey, I find it amazing that she was able to become a billionaire as a black woman in this world where so many people are racist and so many people say dumb things. Like, I've heard people say that it's a man's world and that it's hard to be a black person and stuff like that. And then you see Oprah Winfrey, a black woman, a billionaire, makes more money than like anyone who's saying those stupid things. At the end of the day, the only limitations are the ones you put on yourself. And that's something I've been realizing. It was like when I was in Amway, dude, they told me like to look professional, you need to have your hair short. And when I joined it, before I joined Amway, I had a huge, beautiful afro. Like, I literally looked pretty much exactly like my profile picture here, the LeeLos Adventure profile picture. That was pretty much how I looked. And then I got into Amway. They said, hey, if you want to be successful, you got to have short hair. I cut my hair super short, left it short for 4 years. And now I'm out of Amway and I'm thinking, you know what? I think that was BS, because what I realized is you can have long, beautiful hair and it'll still look professional as long as you get like a taper fade or some kind of fade on the side and back. It'll still look really beautiful. And so that's what I'm doing now, growing my hair back out and just loving it and just loving life and being myself. And I think the biggest thing I'm realizing is like, dude, you have your dreams for a reason. It's up to you to make them a reality. And you turn every obstacle that you faced in the past into more fuel to just make you stronger, make you better, and make your dreams even better. So it's like, I went through a lot of crap, a lot of just hard, very bad, very dark, negative BS that I went through while I was building Amway. And I use all of it as fuel and power and motivation and lessons to build LeeLos Adventure into a beautiful platform. And dude, another thing is like, in one of these podcasts, I'll talk about like my story, because I've overcome a decent amount of stuff. And it was, but a good perspective of it was a year ago, I was in a terrible place. I was very sick. I couldn't even walk up and down the stairs. And doctors told me it would take me 3 months to heal properly before I could like be a fully 100% active guy and could lift weights, do jiu-jitsu, walk up and down the stairs, do all that. And during 3 months, I had gotten really chunky, and I had just started LeeLos Adventure, like lying in my bed, unable to like really move. I had the channel there, but I was in Amway when I made it, so I didn't really give anything to it. But when I was sick like that, and I left Amway, and everyone in Amway abandoned me, I said, you know what, dude, I want this YouTube to grow. And that's when I started this channel really a year ago, and I had like 0 subscribers, maybe like 3 or 4. And a year later, right now, as of me recording this, I have 535, and we're on the fast track to break through 1,000 by December 30th, 2022. This month, dude, we're on track to break through 1,000 and become a YouTube partner. So in 1 year, going from like having nothing, being super sad, super depressed, to now becoming a YouTube partner, it's been a great journey, and it's just the beginning. Soon this channel will have 1 million subscribers, and soon it will have 5 million subscribers as well. And we're building LeeLos Adventure into a gigantic brand that'll help so many people. That's the plan. That's the goal. I'm a young guy. I'm 25 years old, literally in the prime of my life. I'm so young. I'm so healthy, and I'm single, dude. I moved away from Amway. I moved to a completely different state, got away from all those negative, evil people, and I said, let me just start life fresh. And that's what I did when I was 24. And then I just recently turned 25 right now, and I'm like, dude, I'm so proud of myself, because I went from having like nothing except for my family's love, which really is everything. So the truth is, I've always had everything, but on the outside, it was like, to the outside world, I had nothing. It was like my money was all gone. My business was gone. All the business relationship I made, they all like turned their back on me. People stole things from me. I had like nothing. And I felt like no one in the world cared about me except my family. And I went from being completely independent to being completely dependent on my family for like 3 months. And that's when I started really building this YouTube. And I went from there, lost, scared, sad, depressed, all that stuff, to now I just worked my butt off this whole year, and I got accepted into a really good school for a master's in computer science. I'm starting my master's in computer science program. I've already done 1 semester of it, which was just like the warm-up semester, but now it's like I got 2, maybe 2.5 years of grad school to do, and that's just amazing. I got an internship doing video game programming. That's amazing too. And this YouTube channel, now we're a YouTube partner. So it's incredible. Life's amazing. And it's just the very beginning. Just watch this channel grow to 5 million subscribers. And that'll still be just the beginning. I'll probably only be like 29 years old by that point. So just life's amazing. And it's just incredible how much you could improve your life if you never give up. So that's just something I wanted to share. And it's like, dude, all the haters, I heard David Goggins say this, you'll never have a hater who's doing better than you. All the haters, man, all they do is add more fuel. Because like my biggest fuels are like my dreams and goals. And then the haters are also a fuel source too. The people who don't think you can do anything, who say negative things about you, who insult you, who laugh at you, all that stuff, they're more fuel too. And it just makes you stronger, makes you better. And you can never keep a winner down, dude. That's the simple truth of it. But yeah, guys, that was everything I wanted to say in this podcast. Hopefully, I don't know, if you listen to the end of this, I'm not sure how long this was. I was planning for this to be kind of a shorter podcast, but just I realized as I was going, yeah, I love this stuff and I should have started doing it a long time ago. This is amazing. This is episode 1, and I know in the future we're going to have thousands and thousands and thousands of these. This is just episode 1 of the LeeLos podcast, LeeLos Adventure podcast. If you made it all the way to this point, if you made it all the way to this point in the video, leave a comment saying, dude, I listened to the entire thing. Leave a comment, let me know. And let me know how this podcast affected you. Did it make you feel happier? Did it make you more energized? Did you love it? Did you like it? Let me know what you thought about this podcast. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate all the views, really appreciate all the growth the channel's been happening. And like the truth is, it's like, dude, a channel can't grow without an audience. And I really appreciate every single one of you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. More podcasts coming. And this week we have a ton of videos coming, a whole chunk of Greatness Explained, like a whole list of Greatness Explained videos from One Piece are coming out this week as a Christmas present to all you guys. So I really appreciate you guys. And a whole bunch of shorts are coming out as well. Stay tuned. This is just the beginning. The channel, in my eyes, literally just started today. So this is a brand new channel as far as I'm concerned, because we're at the very beginning of a tremendous, humongous, amazing YouTube growth. And I expect in 2023 we'll be at 100,000 subscribers, because this is a unique channel. We have a very special niche. We have a very special audience, and we're just doing something good. We're talking about just happy, great things. And the whole point of this channel, man, is to get people to focus on the greatness of life. That's the whole point. That's why I talk about the greatness of One Piece. And in these podcasts, I just want to talk about great things. I want to talk about happiness, because there's so much happiness in the world, and we got to focus on it and maximize it, dude, because this is a beautiful life. But yeah, anyway, guys, thank you guys for watching. Stay steady in the pursuit of your dreams and goals. I definitely believe in you guys, and I'll see you on the next video. You guys have a great rest of your day.